Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. It's been a good week. It's been a nice, chill, long winter week. And January is almost over, which I think is actually a great thing. You know, it's actually been a nice month. I feel like, it's always good to slow down. I've talked about this a lot this fucking month, but truly it is good to slow down and just fucking relax before, it's like the calm before the storm. New Year's is the big bang, and then the rest of the month is kind of like, I don't know, they say January is like the worst month of the year. I think it's because you come off this super big high of the holidays and all that shit, and then, the sugar high is over, and it's just all the way down until you get to February, I guess, till the weather starts getting better and all that, and like, I feel like we've been lucky, good weather this month, and fucking, it's like bipolar weather right now, some days are fucking 70, maybe even 75, and it's fucking amazing outside. It feels like July, and then, it's like 30 fucking something degrees at night. So, but anyways, I digress. It's been a nice chill week. Been watching a ton of movies, kind of just doing shit I like to do, which has been fucking great. And yeah, I won't get into the movies and all that towards the end of the episode, and we watched some fucking great movies this week. It was funny. Did a lot this week. Actually, it was a pretty busy week, despite being, like I say, the slowest time of the year. With the exception of the holidays. Yeah, I guess Stevie's health update. He's doing way better. He's been eating, like I said this last week, but he's been eating Foster's like once or twice a day. I don't know how he does it. He looks like he's ready to go, do a fucking photo shoot, and he's been eating, burgers and shakes. I guess it's that all-American diet. What can I say? But yeah, he's been doing better. We've been going out to the park and fucking kicking the ball around, playing a little soccer, just walking, getting outside, the weather's good enough for it, so fuck it. And yeah, that's been really actually just nice. Just to get out of the house. I feel like I had a little cabin fever ever since I got back from Europe, which is, the holidays, you're going to parties, you're fucking sitting by the fire getting cozy, and then, to have the rest of the, fucking winter, I guess, to just hibernate. It's good to get out. You can feel the change of the season despite the winter, we're still in the midst of it. But yeah, so we've been going out, playing a little soccer. It's funny, the other day, we were driving out. We've been playing it in like my parents' neighborhood. There's this great field, great park. We were driving to their house. And look, like I'm not somebody who looks for a problem when I'm driving. I've experienced road rage. I've been in a fucking road rage. Everyone has, so unless you're fucking lying, which is unfortunate. But like road rage is one of those things, like the older you get, you understand how fucking ridiculous it is. It's fucking road rage. Are you really going to take your car and fight with someone on the road that you don't even know who the fuck it is, man, woman, whoever? They cut you off or something. Like, I honk my horn. I even do that less now. But good God, this person was riding our ass all the way down this, like, it's a 2-lane country road. There's really nowhere else to go. And this actually started before we got off the on-ramp onto this, like, it's like, here's the main highway, off-ramp, our neighborhood's down the way. And this fucking person was riding our ass, trying to get around us. We weren't even, like, fucking preventing them from doing it. They get to the 2-lane, and there's a sign that says, don't pass on the right. We are literally the first car, and there's, like, cars behind us. This person comes bolting around as fast as they can to get in front of us. No reason, unmotivated. Get to the gate for the neighborhood. We're waiting. They're right in front of us. Or no, we go to turn into the neighborhood, and then there's like the gate down the way. I'm like, yeah, asshole. Like, we're both taking the same fucking exit. Mind you, I wasn't driving. I was just the passenger in this situation. I know Stevie had his fucking Ray-Ban Wayfarers on, the Meta Wayfarers, to record it, which has been his new favorite thing, is recording shitty drivers, which there's plenty in Monterey County. Driving into the neighborhood, get to the fucking gate, and this person, we have to wait for the slowness of the gate to open. Then they just bolt immediately. They're not trying to even fucking hide the fact that they're being an asshole, right? And the funny thing is we pull up to my parents' house, and we were going to go straight to like the fucking park, but we're like, you know what? Let's just like, let's see who it is. We pull up to their house, and we see the people just like literally turn. They're like the neighbor. I'm like, thanks, jerk off. I'm going to fucking end up seeing you, and I'm going to think of you, the neighbor, as a road rager. And it was some lady. And it was funny thing is like, I've seen them park before. I've lived there for years previously to like now. And I kind of didn't recognize the car, but once you see it in the driveway, like, yeah, I think I've seen that like white SUV before. They always park tandem in the driveway, like one car in front of the other. This lady opened her garage and drove in. I'm like, yeah, I'd be embarrassed too. Anyways, it was just funny. It's one of those things. I swear to God, whenever we go out, we'll always end up telling Christine, like, dude, you won't believe what happened. She's like, yeah, it's you two. You know, it's always you two. It's like that scene in Harry Potter with the three of them, where McGonagall's like, why is when there's a problem, it's always you three. It's always us two. And I don't ask for this shit. This shit just happens to me. I swear to God, it's unwarranted. And sometimes it's good unwarranted shit, but sometimes it's like the road rage. It's like, I'm just trying to go kick a fucking soccer ball around. I'm just a guy. But apparently somebody wants to, you know, tailgate and be a fucking prick. And it is what it is. But it's a little antidote from the week. Something that happened amongst all the other shit that happens. I'll tell you what, I can't tell you how many times Stevie's like, they didn't put pickles on this burger. I think we're going back to Foster's. It's like, that's just a whole nother story. It's like, dude, it ain't worth it. You know? But it's always something, as they say. I'm trying to think of what else was up this week. When we talked last, I think last Wednesday, I've moved the show from Monday to Wednesday. Here's the deal. Whatever day I did it last is a day I'm like, I got to do it then. Europe threw me off a little. I enjoyed Monday, but I hate to say it, Monday mornings were a terrible time to fucking shoot because it was almost like I had a clock. I had to wait for all the lawn people to show up. And like Sunday night, I'm kind of just chilling. I could shoot the show Sunday night, but I think shooting it during the day, I'm a little bit more like, you know, present, you know, fully sentient, ready to do the show. And Wednesday's a good day, you know, and it'll probably change in the future. I didn't mention it, but this is episode 50, which is pretty cool. You know, about a year ago, I started this podcast, not exactly, but like, you know, on the 31st of January last year. So this is like right around the same week last year. I was, you know, year to date starting a podcast. And I don't want to go into a whole, like why I started a podcast talk, because I feel like we're out of that phase. But when I did start it, you know, I didn't think it'd become the show that it's become. And like, I love what it's become. And I'm impressed not only with like, you know, the response. It's so cool that people actually listen, and like, thank you for those who do. It's cool to have an audience or like just support doing it. But more so, being able to do it consistently. There's this thing called pod fade. And a lot of people, they do like, you know, there's the hype, like I'm going to start a podcast. They do a couple, and then like after like 5 or 6, or I think 7 was the number, like they're just done permanently. So to get to number 50 in itself is a big accomplishment. And I look back and I think 50 is like too shy of one every week, you know? So I'm proud of myself for that. And I can't wait to keep bringing you more episodes and just fucking talking about film and life and culture and philosophy and all this shit. It's just been so much fun, quite frankly. And there's so much more to do. There's so much more to talk about. And I hope the conversation never ends. So thank you for tuning in. Welcome to episode 50. Not to be dramatic, but anyways, where was I? I was talking about the road rage, getting out of the house. I'll talk about this. You know what else I've been up to this week? Is been shooting a lot of test footage. I'm at the point where I've got like a few scripts, and I'm like a fucking, it sounds like I can't make my mind up. There's Harmony, there's Slugger, there's this Christmas light script, there's this, there's that. There's so many fucking scripts. But it really comes down to which one's right at the right time. And I always say that. I always come back to that. And right now, I feel like the right script may be this Harmony script. It might be Slugger. We talk about both often. We think about both. I had a few ideas this past week. I pitched an idea this week. We're like, this is a great fucking movie. This could be the next one. But when we set our eyes on the target, it's like Peninsula Nights. It's like, this is what we're fucking making. We were committed. It's like, we know this is what we're going to do. And we followed it all the way fucking through. It took months to shoot, and we still were like, nope, that is what we're filming right now. So I think the next project will be obvious in the moment and the time arrives. And I like to trust that. In the meantime, I've been practicing my, you know, camera skills. I've been thinking like, look, I bought a ton of cameras after Peninsula Nights thinking like, this will be the one. I'm back to home base, you know, back to the OG, the RED Komodo. I love it. It looks incredible. Started shooting some test footage the other night. I had to get it out of the box. I had it like packed up. I was like, yeah, like maybe we'll film with it again. Now I'm like, no, like I'm back. Like, hello, old friend, you know? And, I've been shooting a lot of handheld, not going so much with Steadicam, and just kind of testing out different things. Like at this point, like I've had it for so long, like let's just fucking reinvent the wheel. That doesn't mean throw out everything I know, but I'm like, let's just see what else it can do. I've been doing different things with like its output, mapping, even the fucking highlight roll off. I've been trying new things, temperature, exposure, just trying to once again improve my craft, continue down the educational course that is like, cinematography. Like, and you got to learn through experience and become a craftsman as much as an artist, and really understand the gear, really understand it. And I don't know, it's just like, even just having it and seeing it through, like, I consider it fresh eyes, because I took a break. I've been shooting a lot of Sony, a lot of fucking Panasonic, iPhone, a lot of different formats, and using the Sony every week to shoot this pod. But coming back to Red, you really, like, it's fucking exceptional. I'll say this. Been shooting a lot of test footage, been loving the way it looked, been watching a lot of movies shot on film lately, and I'll get more into the movies, but particularly, we just started Breaking Bad again last night. And I shot, almost every night this past week. So like cinematography and aesthetic and like visual, it's very in my mind right now, very front and center. Breaking Bad, it looked so much like the RED Komodo. And the RED Komodo is a 35 millimeter sensor, super 35 millimeter sensor. So it looks like film. And I realized it's like the epiphany was like, as digital as this fucking camera is, Breaking Bad could have been shot. It is shot on 35 millimeter film, but it could have been shot on this fucking camera. And I've like realized, I'm like, the difference is like Sony is video. It's not meant to emulate film stock in the same way that like a RED camera is. And it sounds so obvious. Like, of course, right? It's a cinema camera. But the epiphany I had, I guess, was like, it's almost indistinguishable. They have very similar, and like 35 is considered like, the premium format. I get that. But these two cameras, like, hats off to the people at RED, because I really could see it via the color science or just the way the image changed in post. By the way, this RED footage, you can push it so fucking hard. You could fucking be an idiot and shoot with this camera, and probably a good colorist or a fucking actual DP could fucking fix your shit in post and make it recoverable at the least. It can't fix bad, but if you expose wrong, like, the camera gives you so much room to work with in post, it's insane. And I've bashed on RED in the past on here, and I don't mean to. I think it was just frustrations. It was costing a lot at the time to keep running this fucking camera, because, dude, the footage is massive file sizes. But that's not a problem like it was when I was, making the first indie. Now it's like, okay, like, I think I understand what I need, and okay, that's something I got to budget in, is like maybe a little bit more storage space and all that. But on that note, just completely blown away by what this camera can do. And I think I got that camera in 2021. I want to say 21, maybe 2020, but I think maybe even in like the December of 2020, I remember getting the call from RED, and Stevie and I were at fucking REI, and like, do you want to put a deposit down? We're having this new camera. It's a crash cam. And we were literally talking about buying a camera, like, I don't know, that week. And I was just like, fuck it. And yeah, it's insane. It's insane for even just the few years that I've had it. It still impresses. So anyways, that being said, Breaking Bad, really great aesthetic, very similar to the Komodo. I noticed so much, like, there's like scenes where Walter White's face, or Bryan Cranston rather, whatever you want to call him, Walter's face is pink, and almost like the skin tone seems so like specific. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I keep thinking that's not right when I'm editing. And I'm thinking like, well, it's just fucking how the shit looks. I think a lot of this is overthought, maybe. And this is me kind of projecting my own, like, I guess, take on color and stuff, is like, sometimes I think with a lot of art, people are overthinking it. And perhaps cinematography is one of those things where when you watch something so good, like one of the movies we watched was Forrest Gump, unbelievably shot. I can't say it wasn't like perfect, but when you think of like going to make a movie and then you think of Forrest Gump, you're thinking like, well, it's so fucking perfect. Like, I don't know, like, I need the right thing to do that. Like, I don't know, how would I do that? In that movie, there's exceptions. But generally, like, I'll use a different example. Aaron Brockovich, I mentioned it a few weeks ago on the pod. The way that is shot, you could go shoot it yourself if you have the right gear and the right equipment. And my point more so is that I think people put it up on a pedestal, like the Hollywood quality. And there is a fucking difference sometimes. I cannot deny that. You can't go out and make Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny on a fucking nickel and dime budget. But generally speaking, you can get the same fucking look. You can get the same frames. It's going to look similar. You're tricking yourself into thinking it's not the same because of who's not in it. Like, you don't have Julia Roberts, or you don't have Harrison Ford, right? And that you're making it. It's almost like you can't see past the fact that even if you are like prepared, you're an auteur, or like you are experienced with the camera, or at least, capable, you can get results very similar. Watching Breaking Bad this time around, because I haven't watched it probably since maybe 2016. It's probably been 10 years since I really sat down. I'm like, I'm going to watch it from the first episode and start it. And we watched like 6 episodes in a row. The television back then was fucking good. Really good. But even watching Breaking Bad, especially the pilot, where it's obviously a more budget take on the fucking project, I could see, like, I'm like, I could have fucking filmed this. And in a non-egotistical way, I'm like, I think I could have gotten these same fucking results. And there's some excellent directing. Vince Gilligan had a very brilliant mind when there's like a shot where Jesse and fucking Walter toss a coin, it goes up, and they just get it in focus. Like, very technical shit. They're dissolving a body in the bathtub, and below you can see they like cut out the bottom of the tub and put a piece of like plexiglass or glass. And it's a shot that, like, nowadays I feel like they'd be like, yeah, we're not going to put that in the budget. Like, fuck your shot. And back then they're like, hey, this will, like, people will remember this. They also do a lot of, like, the camera's just still on the tripod and someone walks by and out deeper into frame, and it's usually a wide shot. He had a vision, he had a style. If you watch the show, he's got his fingerprints all over it. You can tell that it is Vince Gilligan's style of directing. Also, when you direct a pilot on a series, you're making the episode that sets the tone for the rest of it. There's like pilot directors that get hired just to direct the first episode so that they can set the tone for a show, because that's their gift. Like, some people are like that, right? My point more so, though, is watching this show, and just to wrap it back into cinematography and everything I've been talking about, is that you could probably go out with the right gear and the right lens and get shots right out of Breaking Bad. Not every fucking shot, but there was a shot of Walter just sitting in the backyard by his pool. It was empty and filled with fucking leaves and garbage or whatever. And he's just sitting there in, like, the morning, like, fucking sunrise, just thinking. And the camera was a little rocky. I'm like, maybe a shoulder rig, maybe handheld. It was nothing fancy, is all I'm saying. And, like, it just, like, reassured. I'm like, once again, like, this is why when I went to go make Peninsula Nights, I was ready. Because I had seen so much. I'd seen enough to be like, I can do it too. And I think that's, like, I'm not saying that in an egotistical way. I'm trying to say, like, if you think you can, go out there and fucking try. Because you're probably gonna, it might not be perfect, but you might get close to the mark. And it might not be the first thing you make. You got to go out and make a bunch of shit. Or find people that are interested in making shit too and team up with them and be like, yo, let's fucking try. Because that's all you can do. And like I said, I turned 30 and I was like, I'm fucking beyond ready to do this. Like, it's now or never. And I think that's the thing, is like, it's just a matter of doing. The power of doing is so fucking important. You know, I've mentioned that quote before. It's a Yoda quote, the do or do not. There is no try. I guess I mentioned trying, but I mean, just doing. Just go do it. Just go fucking experiment, and you might end up with your own movie or show or fucking video, whatever, short film, your results, and be able to, you know, build from that. And that's the most important thing. Get out there and fucking shoot. And this is also coming from somebody who's in, like, cinematography mode. Like, I've literally been ready to shoot. You know, I'm probably going to shoot tonight. Shooting right now, technically. And also just exposing the show every week and having, like, you know, I've tried very many variations with it. With the screenshot now that I use as, like, my intro bumper on the show, you can't see, like, all the previous, like, videos in order. But if you scroll down through my fucking playlist, you'll see, like, I was trying different things with, like, the Sony has many different picture profiles. I've been experimenting with that, experimenting with lighting, intensity, exposure, neutral density, so many different things that actually compound to make what the image is, right? And that's on top of post, different color grades, etc. But yeah, you know, my mind's obviously there right now, and it's been good to just, like, kind of, like, I wouldn't call it square one, but just start fresh. And I've been trusting my instincts even more with cinematography. Like, you know, I shot some shit the other night. It was very, like, maybe I'll post it. I think it did post it on IG, but it was very Fincher-esque, like Darius Kanji. And I've just been able to just, you know, really just expand on my, I guess, like, cinematic vocabulary, if you want to call it that, or knowledge, and become better. And that's, like, kind of moving into the next project. That's really, like, that's what I'm thinking about, is, like, I wanted to just be as good as it can be better than what it was. I think Peninsula Nights was fantastic, but it honestly, like, the movie was shot with so much care, utmost care. And I'm not saying I won't care as much on the next one, but even holding the red this time, I'm like, okay, it's like, I was really, like, precious with it. And now I'm like, you know, like, a shot's a shot. Let me get another shot here. Let me get that. I also know what I need and what I don't need. Economics of filmmaking. Like, you don't need to beat it to death. You got the scene, you know, but there's also things that I could, you know, always learn and build on. So I digress. I could talk about this forever, obviously, but one thing I will say is that when we were filming these test videos, actually, I ended up just going into Stevie and Christine's room. I was like filming them, and I'm like, hey, like, you know, I didn't even say anything. It was unprompted. They just start going into a bit. And the bit went from, we didn't have the first part because the audio, like I had it set to external, so I didn't get their first bit, but it was like under investigation for like a cat issue or a missing cat, right? Cat that got out of the house. And Christine just starts like accusing me of being like a cat thief, right? And then I fucking got the audio on. I missed that other bit, so we had to like piece it together with what we got. But then it was just like Stevie was pretending to be a cop, and Christine was like going on and on about this cat. And then like I just hopped in front of the camera for a minute and I pretended to be the guy who was being accused, right? And it was just good to go out and like we made the whole little bit and cut it together. Excuse me. But it was just fun to do. And it's like, we haven't been able to do that, one, because of Stevie's health, and then two, it's just been a minute, you know, since we've just like had the camera out in that way. And it felt good. It actually made me think we could probably shoot some, like, we're going to be shooting a lot, but like, you know, shoot some more just like sketches and shit, like for fun. It's not something that I've always shot shit for fun in the past like that. We used to like do just improvs, I guess. I guess that's what I'd even say, like just improvs, where we just fuck around. And it was super fun. It was nice to do. And like, you know, it was funny. Even Christine held the camera for my shot, and she's like, God damn, like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, yeah, it fucking wears on you when you're actually filming a movie. That's the other thing too, is like a movie is like physically exhausting for the actors, for the fucking operator, everybody, even mentally and physically. And like, but this didn't feel like that. This just felt like fun. It was like very joyful, and like, it was nice to do. And it's been a minute since we've got to do that. So that was a lot of fun. I remember we shot this one thing. This is so off topic. Not really, it's relevant, but shot this one short called Dublin. It's the name of my dog. And we fucking shot this thing with the iPhone late at night. Set up like a blue light. We didn't even know what the fuck were we even doing. And we were just like, I was like, hey, like, you're going to hear a knock at the door. And Stevie just improv from there. And the thing was so, we watch it all the time. Maybe we'll watch it again, but it's just so entertaining. Like, and I've talked about this a lot. Like, there is something entertaining about just not knowing where it's going or what's going to happen. Like, I don't know. There's an energy around improv that you can, it's like lightning in a bottle. You can't write some things, you know what I mean? Some things come so organically in the moment and just happen. And sometimes that's the best. And like, I think it's obviously, I'm open-minded coming into the next project. Like, there's always going to be a script, but like, there's something about letting shit just evolve naturally. It's like a fucking Pokemon. Let that thing evolve and level up. If you got a Charizard or if you got a Charmander of a script, and you nurture that little bitch and give it a little improv, you might end up with a Charizard by the end of the, you know, shoot. That's my little philosophical point on that. Anything else happened this week? Been shooting a lot, like I said, editing a lot too, because I'm shooting, coloring a lot. Fucking, I know what else we did. We watched the UFC fight. The Pimblet, was it Gansji or whatever, Ganji? It was a great fight. The O'Malley fight was good too, but it wasn't as good as the Pimblet fight. And dude, I'll tell you what, that was brutal. That Patty motherfucker though, he wouldn't go down. I don't know if you guys saw it, but if you didn't see it, it was a fucking brutal fight. This guy was damaged by the end of it. He got poked in the eye twice too, which I thought was a little cheap. And besides the point, the sportsmanship was incredible. That's something, because Christine's not like a super big UFC person, but we watched the fight, and like it's grown on her because she's seen it sometimes. But this time she really watched like maybe like 4 or 5 fights in a row. And you really, I mean, fuck man, it's brutal. It is one of those sports that it can be hard to watch. It's also exciting because when something happens, it happens so fast. And like, it's crazy to see how these fights can 180 on somebody. And with Pimblet, like, I think it was, I guess, an endurance test for him, because it wasn't over before it began. It honestly, at some points, you just couldn't tell. You thought maybe he had it in the bag. That's what I'm saying. It's such a tug of war, quite literally. And it was, I don't know, it was an incredible fight. I hadn't watched something and been that on the edge of my seat in a long fucking time, which is surprising to say. I know it sounds like an old man, like, oh, on the edge of my seat. But like, straight up, like, I was actually blown away by the intensity of it. And yeah, hell of a fight. That was the other thing we did. We watched that, and yeah, been chilling, watching, not just that, we've been watching a lot of movies. What did we watch? I got the list here. The first movie we got, hold on. Excuse me. I get fucking thirsty talking for this long. First movie we watched was Forrest Gump, 1994. Director Robert Zemeckis. Director of photography is Don Burgess or Burgess. Starring Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, Gary Sinise, Sally Field. I've seen it many times, but Christine and Stevie hadn't seen it. Christine hadn't seen it. Stevie's like, I remember it, but he's like, I haven't seen it since like, fucking the late 90s, 2000s. He's like, it's not a movie that I've been watching, and I was like, I get it. So anyways, we're like, let's revisit. And like, we've been trying to watch like Oscar movies. I'm like, Forrest Gump is like one of those movies that, yeah, it's an Oscar like winner, but like, it's just like a classic American film. It's so Americana at its core. Forrest is from the South, Alabama of all places, and it is a true American classic. Its heartbeat is fucking American. Its DNA is American. It's apple pie of films. You know what I mean? It's the red, white, and blue, the Star Spangled Banner of movies. It's a beautiful film, and it holds up. Not just because of all that, but because of like Forrest Gump's character. He plays this innocent, I don't think Forrest has actually got mental issues. I think he's just misunderstood personally. I think he thinks he's slower than he is because of the way people treat him, and maybe he doesn't connect all the dots, but he's certainly not dumb. He understands. And Forrest Gump, in my mind, is like, we were watching it this time. I was like, God damn, he's almost childlike in terms of his perspective on the world. He sees the best in everyone. He looks past the bad. He accepts everyone. He's very loving, right? It's almost as if he's a child that never grew up inside. And then, you juxtaposition that with Robin Wright's character, Jenny, who is like fallen victim to every bad thing in life. The drugs, the dream, chasing success and fame, and it just leaves her fucking like morally and spiritually bankrupt. She gets in with the wrong crowd. She devalues herself. She does do some things that are good, but on the whole, she actually feels as if she's like, throwing it all away. And her life changes. She has a child with Forrest and things change. But like, I really saw it through Forrest Gump's eyes. He was like what an honest person, or even like, I guess he is a man in the movie, so his male perspective, but like he just wants the American dream. He wants to do what's right. He wants, he wants Jenny. What else does he want? He wants to do the right thing, right? He wants to make sure everybody's taken care of. Even when he starts like the fucking shrimping company, still gives Bubba's family some money because he's like, it wasn't my idea. He just wants to do good. He's a do-gooder. And there's something about that, like his moral compass is just so fucking sharp and accurate. It's pointing, to his North Star of just like goodness. And, he's just somebody that always does something right. You also meet characters like Lieutenant Dan that take for granted life. Even after he comes back from the war, he's handicapped, and he tells Forrest like straight up, like, I wish you would have let me die. He wanted to die. He's not even mad at Forrest for saving him. He's mad he didn't die because he's like, my life is going to suck the way it is. And you know what? As the years go by, his and Forrest's relationship developed into this fucking like, by the last scene, Lieutenant Dan is on these fake, legs, these prosthetics, going to Forrest's wedding with a new wife, a big smile on his face. It's like he could have just left him there in the forest, but he found a way to live again. Forrest also made him rich by teaming up with them on the shrimping company, and they invest in Apple. There's some like nods to all the American, pop cultural events, or like, big events in American culture, which I love about the movie is how they weave Forrest into all these big things, Watergate, these other big moments, right? But yeah, he changes all the lives that he's around just by being himself and being good. Even by the end, when Jenny finally comes home to live with them, maybe it's too little too late, but I think Forrest needed that closure. It's better she died with him, because the closure he gets in that Jenny's story has its arc, and, he gets her house knocked down. It's just so full circle. It's just a beautiful fucking story. Forrest's mom, great character, Sally Field, amongst others, but like even her character, she knew Forrest so well, she knew exactly what to tell him to make him feel good. And then like, I think it's when she's on her deathbed, like something like he says, what do I do next? Or something. She's like, only you know that, or whatever. Right. And like, she gave him advice all the way up until the deathbed. Like, it's just well done. And I don't know, it definitely is a tearjerker. You understand why Hanks won the Oscar. It's a performance of a lifetime, in my opinion. I don't think he's won anything ever since, right? Maybe some nominations in other films. And, once again, like, awards only mean so much. But, like, Forrest Gump is one of those premium Oscar-winning films that at the time, it carried a lot of fucking weight culturally. and for very good reason. They don't make them like they used to. This movie was a 10 out of 10. And it's hard to believe that somebody like Zemeckis also made like fucking Back to the Future just a few years before. It's incredible. Somebody with that many good movies. Did he not do Goonies? He did that movie The Walk. I talked about that a few months ago. But you go look up his IMDb and you're going to see just hit central. And this goes into what I think about even like the meritocracy of Hollywood. Zemeckis was good. He had a great crew. He probably worked with a lot of the same guys, but he was good at what he did. And that, used to be something they use as a better metric to determine who's going to make movies. It wasn't just nepotism or, you've worked here for so long, let's let you fucking take a whack at it. It was like, hey, like you are good at this. We're picking you because we know you can deliver. And look, I've been watching Forrest Gump. I've been watching Breaking Bad. I've had no fucking problem being engaged. Fuck my cell phone is what I'm thinking when I'm watching these movies. What phone? But when you're hearing Netflix is making movies and trying to do it where they're thinking about two screens at once, when you're writing the script, make sure you really beat it into them. It's like, don't you think maybe people like just how shit was and that your metric you keep pouring into filmmakers saying like, hey, make sure it's like 2-screen policy. Like you are dictating this 2-screen policy. You are encouraging it. Is that the best thing for cinema? Maybe like there's a reason people are watching like 1 billion fucking hours a year of The Office or Friends, because it was before this Netflix think type of filmmaking. And once again, I'm not bashing on Netflix as a whole, but like quality over quantity, right? That also might mean like maybe you don't need to reinvent the way movies are made. I respect them. I think that they're a powerful fucking company. They're like the biggest studio in Hollywood, right? And soon to be a little bit bigger with the Warner's family joining. But my point more so is that like I hear it all the time. Like, oh, movies just aren't as good anymore. It's like, well, maybe we're just not making them like, I don't know, outside of the system might be the way to make a movie, right? If indie filmmakers across America, across the world start making shit, not just thinking about like, can I get this on Tubi or Hulu or Netflix, and start thinking like, can I just make a good movie? And maybe it'll get licensed by them, but like, who gives a fuck in the end, right? Because you could just put this thing on YouTube or some streamer that'll take it, because there'll always be a new streamer. There'll always be the next Tubi that'll take your movie, license it, put you on there till they fucking decide to gatekeep it through like a third party, like fucking Film Hub. That's just a reality, right? I think that they're in trouble because there is a fucking army of independent filmmakers out there right now that are thinking, well, if I can't fucking get in with Netflix or get in with Disney Plus or Hulu or all the people I just mentioned, Tubi, then fuck them. I guess I'll go around them. I guess I'll go around their back and release it on YouTube or release it on a website and collect all the cash myself. The opportunity in Hollywood, I feel like to some extent is gone. I don't mean it's not non-existent, but they're not picking talent at this point. It's who's popping, who's got the fucking viewership in the moment, right? It's a little bit more of a sugar rush than it is a artistic rush, in my opinion. That being said, I have seen some good movies this past year, but most of them are not. Most are a dime a dozen right now. And I think the problem is that Hollywood's not ignoring movies that are being made. They're just not finding great movies. And that, I think, is a problem. And I think great filmmakers to get the pathway to Hollywood, because not everyone can afford to move to fucking Los Angeles or one of the film capitals, like even fucking New York or wherever. You're going to have to use YouTube as your platform. And this is what I've been saying for a while. YouTube is the biggest threat to Netflix, is the biggest threat to all the other streamers because they let everyone in. They let everyone in. Netflix is starting to do podcasts. I see podcasts I've seen. I saw like the Workaholics guys podcast on there, a couple of Barstool podcasts. I'm thinking, well, the only reason you want to bring podcasts to your platform is because YouTube has taken all the space. I guarantee you that YouTube, they already have films on there, but there's going to be a YouTube original movie. And if there hasn't already been, maybe I'm wrong on this, but there's going to be an original, or there's going to be a flux of independent films going to YouTube directly because people don't give a fuck anymore. They're like, if I can't get it seen on fucking Netflix, I'm going to go put my movie out on YouTube. And I talked with Stevie about this. You can charge for ad space before the movie starts. You want to make your money back on a feature? Find somebody who is confident they'll get more advertisement out of people watching your movie through like just YouTube and the algorithm, and put a fucking set of hard-coded trailers in there, get your money out, go to the next movie. That might be the future. You could even get like, I don't use them, but like, Prize Picks. You go and call them, hey, for X amount of dollars, I'll put it in front of my thing as a bumper. Boom, you got a fucking gambling ad before your movie starts. Already doing it on pirated sites, so fuck it. put your movie out, make your money, or collect it, or put it on a website and fucking paywall it and make your money. And I don't mean like make your money like a grubber. I'm saying like make what you're going to make off your movie and continue on to the next one. Or dream of the day that Netflix actually fucking does a deal with your license and like license your film. I get it. Agents, managers, etc. They're involved as well. There's all this stuff, but like it's become so gatekept and inaccessible to the masses. The masses will look for something else. In the 90s, we had the indie revolution where people were like, I'm going to send it to a festival. I hate to say it, a lot of these festivals, they ain't what they used to be. They're not as indie friendly as you think. They're actually very gatekept. Once again, you don't know someone in here. Well, like Sundance isn't exactly indie friendly, in my opinion. I'm not saying indie movies don't get in, but if you're the indie feature guy and you want to go to Sundance, it's probably like a one in a fucking, they're not going to answer because they're just going to take your 500 and they're going to say, thanks for supporting Sundance Institute. Maybe people don't want to hear that, but I genuinely believe that because I feel like, man, I submitted to many festivals. I know other people that have done it too. People with quality product. Nothing. I don't know if it's political or if it's payola, but I really feel like, and these are not accusations against those organizations. These are just my thoughts and alleged, whatever you want to call it, and just my hot take. But it almost feels like that era is dead. You can't break out at a festival is what I guess I'm saying, unless you're already like fucking funded or backed or you know somebody, right? So where do you go? You go to the worldwide fucking web, the internet, and you just release it and put it out into the world and you market through fucking social media and ads and you try and get it seen. You know, I saw Mike Stud, the artist, better known as Mike with a period now, right? He releases music independent. He's talked a lot about his journey and how he doesn't take like deals. He's like, I'm just not going to do the record deal. It's not what you think. He's made more money independently is what he's basically said. And he was talking about, God, what was he talking about? He's just talking about advertising. And he's saying, if you're going to do an ad now, somebody's asking him like, should I do a music video and like push it? And he's like, I think you're better off making like a great clip. Think of social media as a commercial. Release a clip, let people hear the song. Maybe they see you, maybe they read your story, and then boom, they're hooked. Or maybe they're not, but that's okay. And you get them out there and somebody's like, I agree. Like I saw your last post talking to the other person about the music video, but what about longevity? Like how long do you think a clip lasts? He goes, you're right. Like for me, he's like, I'm in the disappearing phase of my career, which I thought was very interesting to hear because he is like probably like later 30s, early 40s. And I think he's saying like, I'm not trying to be out there like making my fucking catalog of music videos the way I was when I was 20 years old and like really pushing to put myself out there. He's like, I've got a fan base. I'll say this guy just released an album with like versions for like family friendly. So like he's in that phase where he's like, I'm popular to where my fans have grown up. They have kids and they're going to let their kids listen to this fucking kid friendly version of the music. He's in I consider it the monetization phase. He's built the fucking groundwork for a career. And now he's sitting on top of all of his hard work and he's thinking, well, now it's time for me to enjoy and, you know, what is it? You reap what you sow. Enjoy the benefits of his fucking, you know, success. And absolutely right? He's entitled to that. And what I think is more so to the point is just that I think if you want to do something independently, you may as well get paid the most for doing it independently. You know, I think that's Hollywood's problem right now. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to the point of, is that it doesn't matter where it's at anymore, and it doesn't matter how it's made or who's releasing it. It's really coming down to probably good or bad. If you are good, like, you know, it will get seen. I think if it's great, it'll have a lot of success. But it's just the traditional model it's no good. That doesn't mean you can't aspire to be in the theater one day. I had my movie play in a theater. It was amazing and it felt great. And I had fucking sellouts. And sometimes that's just how it goes. And it's an experience that if you can curate it, do it. But don't be banking on like a national release. Don't worry about that. Just worry about making it, premiering it, maybe doing some Q&As, making it more an event. You don't have to even worry about like a singular premiere, like as much as like, in my opinion, like tour the movie a little bit if you really want to. Maybe do a 1 month tour with like 10 cities and just go and fucking talk and do Q&A, market the fuck out of it online. And especially after you've made one or two, more people are going to know who you are and they're going to be like, okay, yeah, I know this filmmaker and these guys, this group of actors. I'm going to go see their shit and maybe to hear them talk for fucking, you know, $20. I might not be opposed to that, right? Get to support them. And that's what you say. You say, you're supporting me directly. There's no fucking Hollywood riffraff in this. That might be the future. And then putting it behind a paywall and, you know, doing it the good old fashioned indie way. Because I think it's really not what it used to be. There's no DVD sales. There's no like, oh, like, we'll take box office. You take DVD. Like, here's the deal. Like, it's so different, you know. And it's a rat race. There's a lot of content out there. And I didn't think I was going to go down this tangent just for Forrest Gump. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I think, yeah, we're in a very weird point in the Hollywood indie revolution, the 2020s revolution of indie film, where accessibility isn't the problem. Production's not necessarily the problem, but it's like really like we got to churn this, was it milk into fucking butter? I think that's it. Like, it's just there's so many fucking people out there working. We got to see where the, cream of the crop is at. We need to see like where the best comes and it'll rise to the top, right? And we'll see. We'll see. The next movie I'm going to talk about, one second here, is Casino Royale. 2006, directed by Martin Campbell. Director of photography is Phil Mayhew. Maybe I got that wrong. Sorry if I did. I'm sure you all know Daniel Craig, James Bond, Mads Mikkelsen as the villain, and yeah, I'm not gonna explain Casino Royale to you. I will say this: Netflix dropped all the Bond movies. They must have licensed them from fucking Amazon, right? Unbelievable, every single fucking one. It's actually really cool to be able to like just watch whatever one you want. And for whatever reason, when it's on Netflix, there is a sense of novelty. As much as shit talking, it feels good. You're like, oh shit, they got like some bangers. So I was watching fucking Casino Royale. And it's funny, Martin Campbell also directed GoldenEye, which was like my James Bond, and I'll get into this in a second, was Pierce Brosnan. I think it's probably because like, I was born in 93. So like, he was James Bond to me. He's the first Bond I knew. There was the rides at the Paramount fucking amusement parks were based around him. The video games are based around him. He was the Bond that I saw as the face of Bond, right? The other Bond I knew very well before Daniel Craig was Roger Moore. My parents just loved Roger Moore Bond. We had so much Roger Moore Bond. Unbelievable. And a lot of the characters from those Roger Moore Bonds, like Odd Job, they stuck around in the, video games as well. They're playable characters, Jaws, etc. A lot of the old school characters. And I love Roger Moore on that note. R.I.P. He was a great Bond, but he was just so different than Pierce and Craig, and I'll get into that. Anyways, Casino Royale, just to talk about Casino Royale. Just a 10 out of 10. It is just a fucking great movie. It's exceptional. I hadn't seen it in a while, and just watching it like head to toe, I was just blown away. It was everything you'd want in a Bond. Daniel Craig, I remember there was like controversy when he was going to be Bond because of the way he looked. Oh, we can't have a blonde Bond, or, Bond can't be him, and fuck all that noise. He is James Bond. He was a great Bond. He was Bond for almost 15 years. I mean, he's exceptional. The story was great. It's so understated. From what I understand, Casino Royale is also the first novel that was written by Ian Fleming. And I was just reading about Ian Fleming. He actually had a house called GoldenEye. I think it was in the Bahamas or somewhere in the Caribbean where he was writing these books. I think it said he wrote the first one in 52 or something. I could just see this guy in a fucking Hawaiian shirt with a cigarette or a cigar in his mouth, sipping rum, writing the story. I read a little bit of the preview of Casino Royale. I'm actually going to order the book and read it. But it was just like almost like Hemingway-esque, like very direct, like kind of like bullet point writing, small paragraphs, like very digestible. It's like, well, no wonder these things were like popular. They were easy to read. They were fun, engaging immediately, and it really set the tone. But anyways, I understand that it's based off that, and it's supposed to be like Bond's like kind of first 00 mission where he's like finally killed. And the only difference I think is that in Casino Royale, the novel, he plays Baccarat, and in the actual film, he's doing Texas Hold'em, right? Poker. Besides the point, exceptional movie. It really, like, dude, Craig just shined. Like, it made me love Bond again. And that's why I started watching all the other Bonds. I was like, dude, he's so fucking good as Bond. Something about his voice, I think his personality, attitude. He's understated, I guess. Whereas Pierce is a very loud James Bond. Like, he's Bond, I didn't watch GoldenEye, but, like, I've seen the Pierce Brosnans many times. He's just more, not even swaggy, but he leans into it. He's not quite Timothy Dalton, which I'd never seen Timothy Dalton's Bond until this week, because I never did. There's actually like one other movie of the Bond series, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I've never seen it. It's like the standalone. It's like George Lazenby. Never seen it. So the next one I'm going to watch. But, in comparison, let's just say between Craig and Bronson, it's just a very, like, he's more reserved, I guess. He's not as Pierce Brosnan's like he's not flamboyant as Bond, but he's James fucking Bond. He's the one-liner king, very, which it's like inherently like that. So the very British films, right? And they have these like cheeky one-liners that are just like perfect. Like it's just to a T, bow tie. They know how to do it. And I think that Craig was able to deliver those with a little less, I wouldn't even call it cheesy because I don't think Bronson was cheesy. He has this very masculine approach when he delivers it. And it's like, I guess more manly. You know, Bronson's very like, he seems like he's trying to seduce everybody when he talks to him, which is different than Daniel Craig's. I mean that respectfully, but yeah, Bronson gets more of a male model, I guess is what I'm saying. And Craig is more of like fucking kind of hardened. He's got this like quality about him that makes him seem like a fucking just like, yeah, I wouldn't fucking fight him at a bar. And I don't go looking for bar fights, but I'm saying like if I saw him there, I'd be like, I could fucking kick your ass. Bronson seems more like, no, just it's all good, you know, my car, whatever, my terrible British fucking accent. But anyways, yeah. I also think I had this in my notes because I want to mention it. I think Pierce Bronson is the millennial Bond. And I think that's largely due to like the James Bond video games, GoldenEye, Agent Under Fire, Nightfire, Everything or Nothing. Because you play these games as Pierce Bronson and, okay, GoldenEye's derivative, same with like Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough. Those games were based on the movie. But for the other ones like Nightfire, Agent Under Fire, and fucking Everything or Nothing, it's like you get to watch 3 more Bond films. And I think like a lot of parents, like they've never fucking played James Bond on PS2 or Xbox, right? Or PlayStation 3, whatever formats they were coming out on, and Nintendo. They had no idea that we were like reliving a Bond experience that they'll never get to live. We were playing a script of another Bond adventure that they'll never get to live. And when you were fucking 10 to fucking 15 years old and you're playing as James Bond, even younger than that, maybe like 8 to 15, it changes the way you look at like Pierce Bronson. I'm like, dude, you are more than just James Bond from the movie. You're the James Bond that I've played through the map and like I fucking have, you know, killed people in the fucking game with. I've done crazy jumps with the car. I've tricked out your weapons, used your gadgets, etc., all while living another story. I mean, maybe arguably as a kid, I probably knew some of those James Bond video game plots better than the films just because my comprehension level was like, I'm playing this game often. And a lot of it was campaign driven. The multiplayer on these games, by the way, was the best. It was when you still had 4 little fucking squares on a screen and 4 controllers plugged into the same box. And you sat with your friends and you said, don't fucking screen watch. Hell of a time. Some of these games would make or break friendships. I mean, Nightfire, dude, I had one of my friends, Jackson, he would come down. We would play all these fucking games all the time. We loved it. We loved the James Bond video games. I think people underestimate like how much of a big deal they were to like maybe the millennial generation, at least the 90s babies. And dude, it would be like not friendship ending battles, but like close to it. Like everybody would get so intense about it. And there were so many cool things. You got a lot of gadgets in these games too, like fucking miniature helicopters and controlled rockets. Anything could happen, right? You know, and it was so fun. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that Craig didn't do that in the same way. I'm sure there was some video games based on him. Actually, I'm remembering now. I think there are, in fact. But besides the point, it wasn't the way Pierce had been ingrained into like pop culture. And also, I'll say this, like GoldenEye was like arguably the best first-person shooter that had come out at the time. I know it was made by Rareware, small team of guys, I think out in Scotland or England. Regardless, impressive technology. But this game, GoldenEye itself, became like the first-person shooter that defined the Nintendo 64 era. It was revolutionary at the time, and they built on that. And those games were known for their first-person shooter elements where people could actually, you know, like fight. And like there's only a few games at the time that were really doing it. I know Doom is like often regarded as one of the first, and then of course Halo. But James Bond, like these games really did craft like what a FPS would be and what the multiplayer could be. And I guarantee you every fucking kid that's listening to this is around my age in their 30s or like late 20s. They're fucking thinking, yeah, you're right. Or even older, like the 40s. They're thinking, yeah, like this game definitely changed my perspective on the standard for what a video game should be. I know GoldenEye certainly did. It was the prohibitive game that like you go to somebody's house, they'd have Smash Brothers, like Super Smash Brothers, maybe like Super Mario 64 rather. And like the one you wanted was fucking 007 GoldenEye. It was like the Grand Theft Auto before Grand Theft Auto came out. Cause I remember Grand Theft Auto was like rated M. I was like, well, fuck, it's like, you know, graduating. I'm going from GoldenEye to Grand Theft Auto. And it was a big deal, or Halo at the time. But anyways, I'll just say that I think that's why Pierce Bronson, in my perspective, will always be my Bond. And I'm not saying I don't love Craig. I watch the Craig movies and I'm fucking into it. Like I think he's one of the best Bonds out there, but Bronson, respectfully, will always be my Bond just because of the time. Also, the watches, everything. There's so many things I can get into. The cars, the sunglasses. Pierce Bronson was a fucking badass, and they should have given him a fifth film. That's all I can say. Anyways, the other Bond movies I watched was The Living Daylights, 1987, and License to Kill, 1989. Both directed by John Glenn, both shot by Alec Mills, both starring Timothy Dalton. I'll talk a little bit about the Living Daylights first. Great movie. I put it on because I'd never seen it. And I was like, fuck it. I got all these options. And like, I've been trying to force myself to watch new shit lately because I can get in the habit of just watching shit I've seen a billion times just because it's comforting. Don't have to think as much. I'm like, all right, it'll be on. I can go on my phone, do my laptop shit. But sitting down and actually watching a movie, no phone, I can't believe it's a fucking, something you have to practice, like a discipline. But like, it is something these days where it's like, well, fuck, like maybe I should just focus on one thing at a time. It's probably good for me. So anyways, Living Daylights. It was a great film. Starts off with Bond. He's on like a practice mission, and then somebody doesn't take it as a practice. Like it's like a training. And then there's like some bad actor who starts actually shooting the agents, and Bond's the last guy, and he chases him down, and the mystery begins, right? And he's kind of tracking down this like KGB agent guy that they're trying to save, kind of dupes him. And he pretends that he got captured by the Russians again after they save him, but he's really teamed up with an American arms dealer, and they run off to some private island, and they think they can get Bond to clean up and like kill the people that they think on the Russian side did the fucking actions, and vice versa. I think they get the Russians to try and kill Bond and like make it seem like, oh, this guy was taken and sent to the gulag, and like that's that, right? And he's really lying to both sides, and Bond figures it out because he develops a romance with there's a sniper that's supposed to shoot the KGB agent as he's leaving, and Bond at first thinks it's a Russian asset, shoots the gun, stops her from killing. But he looked at her and he's like, I just don't think she's a pro. He looks into it. Turns out she's just the Russian guy over there trying to save was just his girlfriend. And he was playing her all along. He gave her a gun with blanks and said, I want you to pretend to snipe me, blah, 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 right? Long story short, she was lied to by him. He lied to everybody, the one Russian guy, and everybody suffered because of it. The romance between Bond and the girl, I think her name's Marianne d'Abo, unbelievable. It was a great romance. Here's the deal. These Timothy Dalton Bonds, because they were in the 80s, they weren't like quite 90s yet where it's like we can do a lot. Like they could do a lot, but they couldn't do what they did with like GoldenEye. And they weren't so old that it was felt so limited. Like I watched some of the Connery ones and like they're good. I don't want to delve into those at this moment. But they were way more budget. You could feel it. The Living Daylights, like I was blown away, like completely engaged every scene. Edge of my seat. Literally, like I don't know what's going to happen. The script was amazing. These old scripts are fucking phenomenal. Every beat counted. The journey went from like where you would think here's the deal. It's like Bonds are odysseys. It starts here in fucking wherever in the UK or Tangiers, wherever. It ends up in Tangiers. It's like it's an odyssey. Bond goes all over the fucking map. He's like Indiana Jones. If you could fucking see the little red dot in the airplane, he's everywhere. And the way the story unfolds, it was just masterful storytelling, masterful filmmaking. I'd never seen Timothy Dalton as Bond. I thought he was a great James Bond, maybe one of the best. It's hard to say, because they're all Bond is such a good role, and like whoever does it, you can't fuck it up that bad because it's just good. But he was exceptional. And The Living Daylights, if you haven't seen it, I won't ruin it, but excellent film. Maybe one of the best James Bond movies I've ever seen. The follow-up was 1989, so it's about 2 years later. Same director, same DP, John Glenn, Alec Mills, Timothy Dalton, a couple other actors in there. I can't remember all of them, but basically Bond is in Miami, and he is going to his friend's wedding, and they get called by the DEA. They have his friend's DEA has a mission, has to intercept this big drug dealer, Sanchez, and they go to get him, and they get him captured in the first scene, right? And they parachute into the wedding. Classic Bond, right? Well, it turns out on the wedding night, Bond drops off his friend, the DEA agent, and it's Felix, and drops him and his newlywed wife off. And when he pulls off inside the house, they're already waiting for him. They're like, hey, like you took our boss, we're going to kill you, right? The Sanchez guy bribes local police, ends up getting freed, ends up he kills the fucking newlywed wife, tortures Felix. Bond comes back and finds him, wife dead, Felix holding on to life by a fucking thread. And he tells him what happened. And from there on out, it is no longer like a typical Bond film. It's just a fucking revenge film. It could have been just like a Scarface or something. Like, it's cocaine related. I'd say coke fueled, but Bond's not, out there fucking tooting lines. It is just Bond unhinged. It's not a mission. Bond is just completely fucking broken away. It's complete revenge for his friend's wife's murder, right? And it was an interesting film. It didn't jump around the globe like previous Bond movies. It all took place right there in Miami. It was like I said, like almost like a Bond, like MI6 meets like CIA with DEA agents or FBI agents, right? Trying to crack down on this coke ring. And this one guy in particular, Sanchez, who's played by the same guy who plays a Fratelli in Goonies. I can't remember his name, but he was, I think it's Robert Davi. I do have it written down here. I'm pretty sure it's him. He was good. He's really good. He plays Italian and Cuban, apparently. But no, he is based around Bond just trying to get him. And it's interesting. Bond also has these two very interesting, like, love relationships. One with, like, Sanchez's girlfriend, and then one with the other, like, DEA agent or Fed, whatever she was. And the romance itself was good. Also, Q visits Bond because he is on holiday and he's like, hey, I heard you were in Miami. And Bond's so, like, Timothy Dalton's Bond is so concerned about Q. He does not want anyone near him to get hurt. And I think it's a reflection of the first, part of the movie, the first act. Felix is almost eaten by a shark. That's how they torture him, right? His wife is murdered, strangled to death. Bond's thinking, if you get too close to me, like, people start to die. And this is a classic Bond trope, but he sees it firsthand. And it's something they did in Casino Royale as well. They show the woman get strangled from, like, the country club or whatever, the beach club in the Bahamas. Bond realizes if I get close to people, people start to get hurt. And the whole time he's almost pushing everyone away from him because he's got tunnel vision. These other people are like, hey, like, we're doing like a fucking drug investigation. You're fucking this up for us. We've been spending years on this. You just got here and you're just racing to the finish line all out of revenge. And it shows how Bond even can be distorted in his pursuit of justice. Let's say that. And this was complete revenge. Like I said, it's not like it was a mission. Like, it wasn't like he was ordered to do this. He was act of passion. And it was cool to see James Bond in that. I think even the name License to Kill, I think at some point they do a name drop of like, hey, like, your license to kill has been revoked. Actually, I think London sends someone to bring him in. They're like, hey, like, you're going back home. Like, you are out of fucking control. And they try to sedate him, but like, he gets away, of course. And it's just interesting to see Bond so unhinged. It might have been, once again, one of the best Bond movies I've seen. I generally like all the Bond movies, but God damn, it was really good. And it actually had me thinking of fucking Bond ideas. I won't spill them here, but yeah, it's just these movies, they're I call them idea machines, but some movies you watch, it's like watching Curb Your Enthusiasm or Seinfeld. It's an idea machine. You watch it and you're like, hey, this would be funny. Because it just makes you start thinking in that way. And like, these journeys and these films were just so good. So Timothy Dalton, he's a great Bond, 10 out of 10. He was the beginning of where Bond was starting to get a little more serious. He was still a little boyfriend Bond, I'll say that. But his acting and tone and grit was great. Also, he looks remarkably like Jason Isaacs, the actor that plays Mr. Malfoy, the White Lotus dad. They're not related. I think Timothy Dalton is Welsh, and then I saw that fucking Jason Isaacs from the other side of like England, but more Eastern. But yeah, it was just funny. Like, Christine sat down to watch a little bit. When she's like, Jesus, is that Malfoy? I'm like, no, but they do have a striking resemblance. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on Bond. I'm sure I'll talk more Bond this coming week just because they're all on Netflix and I love them. And like, they're just movies that like I could just, if somebody said like, hey, let's just like hang out and fucking kick it and throw on some flicks, I think Bond, you can't go wrong. It's a great choice. And maybe it's a guy thing, but we love our fucking James Bond. This next movie I've seen before and I talked highly of it when I saw it, but Christine wanted to watch more Oscar films. So we decided to watch The Smashing Machine. Benny Safdie's The Smashing Machine, 2024. Director of photography is Maceo Bishop. Starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Emily Blunt. The guy who plays Mark Coleman, I don't think that's his real name, but I know he's a real fighter. He's fantastic. This is the second time I saw the movie. I won't dive into every beat, but what I took away from this second viewing, this movie is masterfully made. Well edited, well thought out, very... You can tell that Benny put everything he fucking had into making sure this movie felt the right way. And it was feeling is what he went off of. I can tell you right now, the writing's good. The acting's just fucking superb. I know Dwayne Johnson will be looked over for the Oscars and as well as Emily Blunt. I'm not rooting for that. I just think real talk, they're just not going to give this movie its flowers. And it's a fucking shame because this movie might have been the best movie of 2024. Second time watching it, it hit like a fucking train. It really is an emotionally impactful film. You can really feel the pressure that the Mark Kerr character, Dwayne Johnson's character, feels. He also plays this character so authentically and genuinely. Is a pure ass movie. This is cinema. This is a pure fucking movie. This is for the love of the game. Dwayne knew it. Emily knew it. Safdie knew it. They did not go into this project thinking like, maybe we'll win some awards and maybe like, no. That was backseat to the fucking goal of like, hey, like I want to be, I mean, The Rock doesn't have to do a movie like this. He wants to do a movie like this. This isn't what they're asking him to do. He chose to do this. Physicality, yes, he matches the profile of a bodybuilding UFC roided type, right? And that's no slight at him and his body. I'm just saying like, he is this person to some extent. He can do it. He used to be a fighter. He can do it. Emily Blunt plays more of the girlfriend Dawn in the film, and she's more of like, it's like a toxic relationship between them both. But man, this time I really saw it. It was just a fucking insane movie. Really well acted, really well directed. The moments sit, they don't rush. I even saw some deleted scenes from this. There's a deleted scene where it's just Dwayne Johnson's character, Mark Kerr, shopping in Japan and buying like a radio, and like it showed some footage of him, and they cut it from the full film, and it wouldn't have hurt. It might have made it a little long-winded, but just him out shopping and buying shit in Japan was so entertaining. It felt like it was just happening, almost documentary-like, or documentary-like rather. There was such a sincerity. You felt like you were there with Mark Kerr, watching him live these private moments and just be completely himself and do his thing. And it was intimate. And there was a sense of true human connection in this film that I feel like is greatly missing in a lot of modern cinema. And this is the type of movie I would love to make. Not necessarily this story, but like the way it made me feel, the way it played out. It's excellent. It's a true human story. And I probably said a lot of this stuff last time I talked about the movie, but I can't speak for the other film, Marty Supreme, Josh Safdie's movie. But I did see some news about the Safdie brothers this week. And it's not to get into their shit. This is tabloid and headline. But I kind of talked about this a couple months ago because I was like, why did the Safdie brothers split? Will they work together again? I read some positive press saying like, that's all media conjecture. Like the brothers are fine. They still talk every day. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you know, and it probably piques my interest too because I am a brother. But like just thinking about why would two great filmmakers decide to, you know, split away and make like oddly similar movies? I know Marty's led by Chalamet and it's got Mr. Wonderful and a bunch of other actors in it. But my point more so is like, well, if you guys were cooking up such great hits, like, you know, between Good Times, Uncut Gems, Heaven Knows What, some of their other, you know, short film content they have out there, supposed to be working on a movie with Sandler at Netflix that gets canned, it leads you to wonder. And I said this a few months ago. I said, there's something else fucking going on. And I'm not like a Hollywood insider to where like I hear other people's drama, right? So I just like, you know, I just knew what everybody else knew, like, nothing's going on. So I saw that there was an article published this week and it really got down to the nit and grit of what happened. It says sometime in 2023, they decided to end their partnership, right? Josh and Benny. And you'll see Benny Safdie, he's in Good Time. He acts in a lot of other stuff. He's in that show, The Curse. I think he also helped direct or write, or he's a part of the production with Nathan Fielder and some of the other actors, Emma Stone. But I always thought it was weird. It just seemed abrupt. Like after having like Oscar contending films, and why now? Well, it says that this all stemmed from an incident on the set of Good Time in 2017. It says in 2017, they had this actor. His name's Buddy Duress. He's since deceased. I was very familiar with him. He was in a few other movies. I think he's actually in Heaven Knows What as well. But he's a Safdie brothers actor. He's like one of their go-to guys, right? It says that in 2017, he was on set, and I guess at the time, Benny was operating the boom, and his brother was actually behind the monitor. But they filmed a scene with a 17-year-old girl who was playing a prostitute, and this Buddy Duress guy was just supposed to come in there and just talk to her or something. Like, I solicit her, but not like, you know, explicitly. Or whatever. I actually don't even know what the scene was, but something went wrong during the scene where he like pulled his pants down, like showed himself to her, and like nobody called cuts, and they just let it happen. And it's like, I guess Benny Safdie at the time, that's what I understand from the article, is that he didn't know that the girl was underage. He didn't know why his brother didn't call cut, and didn't really think much of it other than like, hey, like this actor we got is fucking crazy. Now, mind you, Buddy Duress is a troubled guy. Prison, drugs, I'm assuming violence. I got to look at his charges. I don't want to speak out of pocket, but he's not the greatest guy. Not a terrible actor, but, that doesn't excuse how you treat other people, right? And anyways, that is definitely, once the, daylight's been brought to it, makes a lot more fucking sense why he might be like, hey, like, bro, you don't know when to draw the line, or you don't know how to make the set safe, or do this or that. And this is just my take. I don't want to get into this isn't fucking E-News or something, but I just thinking about it, it's disappointing that that's what drove them apart. But it's also, I completely understand that. Not even disappointing. I guess it's unfortunate that somebody didn't have better judgment in the moment to say, hey, this isn't okay. And, it's a movie. People risk a lot to make a movie. I've heard people say the most dramatic, ridiculous shit, like, I'll die for the fucking movie. And like some people, like, they'll put a lot on the line, but you can't put somebody else's well-being on the line. You got to talk to somebody and make sure they're very okay with whatever they're doing when you're making a movie. And like, just word of the wise, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, just talk about things before you film them. In this case, I think you had somebody who was already a troubled person in an environment with somebody they shouldn't have been around. From what I understand, he was recently incarcerated before he was let out. I actually remember watching the Cannes panel for Good Time, perhaps, and him talking about how when he went back to America, he'd be in jail, or he would be in jail, or was in jail before he got there. But, like, there's talented people, like, Tim Allen went to jail, but like, he redeemed himself, and he wouldn't even want people knowing that. Like, I've heard him talk about, he's disappointed that even happened to him. I get it. That was like, I think for like cocaine dealing, whatever, I don't know. But it's just shitty that this happened. That's what broke apart this, like, they were some fucking pretty hot talent in Hollywood, and I'm sure they're still friends and brothers, but yeah. And on that note, I will say, like, second watch of Benny Safdie's Smashing Machine, like, he is a fucking auteur. Like, he's got a heavy hand behind the camera. It's so simple and elegant, but like, there's something. He also edited the movie, and there's something about the way he edits. It's like you paint a picture of what you want, and it's your style. It's Benny Safdie style. And I'm sure Marty Supreme's great. I will see it. I like Timothy. I like Mr. Wonderful, and I know he used a lot of. It sounds like Josh Safdie likes to use non-actors, and I'm sure his judgment has changed since the Buddy Duress days. But yeah, I think that both movies will be great. They're both in Oscar contention. I personally am rooting for the Smashing Machine. I hope it's not overlooked. I thought hard and long about all the performances this year. I don't think Sinners is a bad movie. I don't think One Battle After Another is bad, but like, are they their best? That's all I'm going to say. And these movies like Smashing Machine, like, I thought Uncut Gems kind of got like snibby snubbed, right? But and same with Good Time, just completely overlooked for such a great film. I don't want it to be the battle of the brothers, but I really hope Benny Safdie gets his fucking flowers for the movie, and I hope Dwayne Johnson and hopefully Emily Blunt, everybody involved, they did a great job. And I hope that Marty Supreme does well as well. I like seeing indie guys, rise and fucking become the guys, right? It's, everybody loves it. It's a fucking underdog story. But I'm afraid. I think that the Oscars this year are just going to sweep a lot of the good shit under the rug. And I mean, it'd be bold to say like F1 wins Best Picture, but I feel like it's just going to either be like a Sinners sweep, which I'm not like pro Sinners sweep. I don't think it's bad, but it's like, for me, it just didn't feel like that type of. I've watched so many Oscar-winning films recently, from Good Will Hunting to fucking Forrest Gump. Sinners doesn't feel to me to fit into that box. I don't think it's a bad movie, but it's like, I don't know if it's the right movie for that. We'll see. Time will tell. I could be completely wrong. In my opinion, it's just one man's opinion. So, But anyways, I think that's about all I got. This week was great. It was a good week to set the tone for the rest of the year. Episode 50, and I hope to fucking 50,000 more, right? If you want, check out my YouTube and sub. I've been trying to really push people to YouTube. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're listening to it right now on YouTube, but I've noticed most of my traffic has moved there anyways. So like, sub, don't have to comment if you don't want to, but yeah, just like and sub and fucking support the pod. And like I said, this is episode 50 and I like to 50,000 more straight up. I think I'm just going to keep fucking trucking along. I'll keep you updated too with like film stuff. I obviously just being around the camera and doing film stuff, my mind is like supercharged for cinema again. But yeah, just staying focused, staying motivated, and it's the winter. Once the winter fucking passes, I feel like it's pretty much smooth sailing till fucking the holidays. That's like I really think everything just gets better. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyways, guys, I'm Devin Thomas, and this has been another episode of Unscripted. I'll talk to you all next week.